Looks like John Emmett's the first one on, at least at this end. Angelo Rotondo Soroli, there's a new name. Phil Acton, welcome to both of you. And others joining for the show number 533. We're in the Beach Street Yacht Club as usual. Ted Ryman saying hi from Cape Town in the Republic of South Africa. Joyce Chiarella, happy pre-Independence Day. Happy 4th of July weekend as it's underway out in Hawaii, apparently, as it is here. Michael Bunting, hello to you, sir. And John Emmett is saying it's nice to be back in Europe. We have a nice video from him. Alistair Murray is up bright and early where it's 0600 in Melbourne, Australia on Saturday morning. Pedro Foiling Sailor where it's also 0600 if I have my time zones correct. It's wet and miserable in Sydney, he said.
How can that be?
Stingray up in Seattle wishing everybody a happy 4th of July weekend. Fritz Mueller in Miami likewise. Lisa von Schwartz. Hello, Lisa. Welcome. Gordon Smith saying good evening to you all from Denmark. A kind and entertaining lot. Bill Wingrove says they're turning the boat. You know what that's in reference to?
No.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec as we get this one off the dock. You got to admit, Marius Westerlind looks like, what'd you say in the pre?
No, he looks very much like a movie star.
He looks like a movie star.
Yeah, and a character that we all should know, and I don't remember, but he looks great.
Andy and I recorded him on a couple days ago, and of course we're going to air him in our Road to the Governor's Cup segment 5 today. And he is the coolest kid. He is bright. You know, can look at his eyes. I mean, he's just bright, personable. You can see it in his eyes. And that was his New Year's Eve apparently outfit this year. I saw it on his Facebook page, asked him if I could use it, and he said, by all means, if you like the picture, go ahead and use it. Marius Westerlind from Sweden.
Yeah, I remember him from, yeah.
You had him on last year, and he's back for another go. He didn't do very well last year, and he says in the interview when we play it, he says, I hope I do better on the water. I did pretty well on shore, which he did. He's a personal guy that he is, and all those things.
I remember that. He was fun.
Wonderful. Kelly Taylor saying greetings from Kelly. Jody Shields is up good and early, bright and early on his Saturday morning. Good day, all. How is my kids raising money for the beds for the beautiful kids? The school in Uganda. Very, very proud of them indeed. We all are, Jody. Give them a big virtual hug from all of us. ASDIP in Austin, Texas. That sounds like who? J. Frederick Bland, I guess. ASDIP, independent. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what turning the boat means.
What turning the boat means, I think, is in reference to the Constellation that's in Boston. The big tall ship, the old ship that gets turned once a year on the 4th of July. I assume that's what Bill Wingrove, they're turning the boat. He'll tell us if that's not the case. Welcome, everybody. We're live from Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club for our show number 533, the first day of July.
Indeed.
Ed Worley saying happy 4th. James Frederick Bland, another sunny day in paradise. Yeah, I think he is that Facebook user we were talking about. Yes. Turning the boat is from the Star Sailors League. Oh, okay, I know what he's talking about. Bill's not real fond of the coverage in the Star Sailors League, the television coverage and the commentary, and it's not 100%, but it's not, frankly, it's not that great. Welcome, everybody. We're delighted to have you all with us as we get this one, as we set off the dock and on the road.
Be clear that the coverage isn't that great, you think, but
the commentary is not that good. Yeah. Coverage is okay. We'll talk about it here in a sec. Our pre-start from the Castle Cove Sailing Club. We love this slide, thanks to John Emmett. Julia, do you know what day it is today? Mm-hmm. There's your clue.
Well, among other things, it's Canada Day.
And what else was it?
It's Princess Diana's birthday.
She'd be 60, I think, today. I saw somewhere.
And it's our good friend Debbie Smith's birthday.
Debbie Smith, our good friend here from St. Francis Yacht Club. If she's watching, she often does. Happy Canada. Oh, Canada. Let's have a look. On the 1st of July, Canada Day marks the formation of the Federation of Canada in 1867. To celebrate it, here are some fun facts about Canada. Canada's an Iroquoian name. Canada is the second largest country in the world. I knew I'd get in trouble reading these. After Russia, it has the longest coastline in the world. It has more lakes than the rest of the world's lakes combined. 3 Canadian islands are among the top 10 biggest islands in the world. The Trans-Canada Highway is the longest in the world. I didn't know that. Canada is the world's most educated country. The U.S.-Canada border is the longest international border in the world. The Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada. Canadians eat more donuts per person than any other country. So there's a fun fact, courtesy of officeholidays.com, where we get
that's all good stuff.
Some of that madness. Now, Julia.
Sir.
Do you know what is Canada's national animal?
It looks like an ice hockey player.
Well, some would suggest that maybe I'm an ice hockey player, as you know, all my life. And some would suggest that we are indeed animals. Some are. But you know the old joke, can I tell it on Canada's Day?
I don't know.
Oh, you're from Canada? I thought there were only whores and hockey players in Canada. My wife's from Canada. Oh, what position does she play?
That's right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And my wife is from Canada. Oh, Canada. Stingray knows it. The Beavers. Gordon Smith knows it. Yes, the Canada's national animal, not anthem, animal is not a hockey player. It's the beaver. It's on the back of their nickel, their 5-cent coin. You know who's on the front of that coin? Wouldn't you love
the Queen?
You're right. Well done. It's the Queen. How did you know that?
I've handled
Canadian. That goes before. How would you like to have the beaver on the back of your coin if you were the Queen?
If it was the Canadian beaver, I'd take it.
So why the beaver? Well, it is celebrated because it's been a lot of things. I mean, it's important to Canada because of its significance during the fur trade era. A couple 300 years ago, voyagers would come from Europe and beyond down here in the States, and it was an important not only a trade item, but it was currency for a long time. And you got to know these things, right?
Right.
Canadians' national, Canada's national anthem is a hockey player.
Well, it looked like that.
Oh, dear. Ryman said he wanted to say beaver because the Fozzie would make a finger-wagging thing of it. Julie Aaron saying hello from a hot and sticky Cleveland. Ernie Island is on the Big Island out in Hawaii. Welcome, Ernie. And to all of you who are joining us for show number 533 on this first day of July. It's our start of it's kind of a 4-day weekend here because our Independence Day, the 4th of July, is, of course, on Monday. I'm wearing the Gstaad Yacht Club sweater. I'm a founding member of that club, a very proud member of that club in Gstaad in Switzerland. And I'm wearing this in honor of our president, who mixed up Switzerland and Sweden yesterday and the day before yesterday in that press conference. So here, if President Biden is watching, Switzerland is Switzerland, and Marius Westerlind is from Göteborg, from Gothenburg, Sweden. So I thought, plus it's red, white, and blue.
Yes.
And I even have my red pants on today.
I'm proud of you.
So I'm red, white, and blue in honor of our Independence Day. Shall we get into the starting line? Star class, another red, white, and blue class. And of course, we go to John Emmett, who's checking in, Master Mentor John, with a report. Now, I got to tell you, he sent his video in. There was a little technical problem that in the video itself, his audio was perfect. I'll tell you about the technical problem, maybe, if he doesn't tell you in the comments in the meantime. Mm-hmm. But another terrific piece by John, audio only today, and I've added some video to supplement that.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozzie. I'm finally back, as you can probably guess, in Weymouth after about 2 months. So it's nice to be home. In fact, I'm going to be in the UK most of July and August, which some would argue are the best months of the year for sailing in the UK, at least on the south coast. So I'm really looking forward to that. Not only doing club sailing myself, but also quite a lot of coaching with the grassroots. That's clubs, classes, and specifically young sailors, those who are looking at transitioning or those who are absolutely new to the sport. So it's an exciting time, and it's probably the best time to be learning, because the weather conditions, fingers crossed, are the most friendly. But today, I'm sure it's no surprise, we're going to be talking about back the bid. This is something that has been very close to my heart for a long time. I personally know Paralympic gold medalists. In fact, one of them actually was responsible for teaching me to sail in my early days at Crawley Rounder Sailing Club. So I have, really fond memories of these people. And sailing really has to be a sport for all. And I think the idea that anyone can sail is so important, because we have all the different classes, which means that literally anyone can get on the water. World Sailing's been doing a great job with the back the bid. Nice little videos out, which Tom has already played, and it's really now up to us to do our part. Every single day, each one of us immediately turns around our nominations to 2 people, it's just going to grow and grow and grow, and that just makes it impossible to ignore. So whatever we have in our own lives in terms of our sort of championships or coaching or social sailing success, I think to look at the broader picture and to get the sailing back in the Paralympics is such an important thing. And I hope that once it does get back in, we continue to make the effort to keep it there, to show it is a growing part of our sport, a necessary part of our sport, and definitely a worldwide part of our sport. And it's important to look at aspects of the sport which might not necessarily compete in ourselves, but just to allow everybody to compete. I mean, we're all sailors, and I see much more cross-class racing. I thought, I have actually considered, maybe doing some 2.4 sailing or something like that in the not too distant future, because it's really the close racing that I enjoy more so than the speed competitions. Although there is something very special about surfing downwind in a water pushing boat. So many different aspects of the sport. The Paralympics is a really important part of this, and now is absolutely our moment to do our very best to promote it. So, final thought, back the bid, have a great show.
Yeah, there are some great pictures there, and I'll tell you, John sent his video, and he had just a little bit of a Julia on the corner of his mouth, on a whisker. He wasn't clean shaven. He had a little crumb, and every time he talked, the crumb moved. It was so distracting. I called him this morning. I said, John, did you look at your video afterwards? And I said, no, I'm not going to play it. I just am going to put these nice, and as you said, Julia, they're nice pictures. And the sentiments, regardless from John, it's just fabulous. The quick turnaround of nominations is really important to get that growing snowball effect. Mm-hmm. Gordon, he's saying BBC Radio 4 thought for the day. I don't know what that was today. John Emmett, Megan Pascoe from that photo is a member of the Castle Cove Sailing Club. Well, that video that I ran behind John's audio voiceover was actually from a clinic he taught in January in Leamington. You saw all those young kids, and it was kind of relevant. And it's got the rock and roll music, which of course everybody likes when they hear from John. They don't want some old jazzy old fart music like they get from us. Thanks, John. Gordon Smith is saying, totally agree. And I want to go back to the bid thing, because this is really important. I totally agree with John. We're pushing it. Andrew Pindar and others are pushing it. And this is hashtag back the bid and hashtag sail to LA to get parasailing back in the 2028 Olympics. Now, we were talking there were such nice photos, as Julia referenced, in that bit with John that John was voicing about the 2.4 meter, which was the single-handed kind of keel boat in the Paralympics before. We hope that boat, presumably that boat would go back in. We'll see. But I wanted to give you a quick update from World Sailing about what that boat is and how it works.
This is the 2.4 meter class, the single-handed Paralympic class yacht. As you can see, we're very low to the water, so we do tend to get fairly wet when the breeze is up. They're a fairly complicated boat. As you can see, we've got quite a few control lines in the cockpit here, as well as obviously the tiller to steer the boat with. We've got a main sheet, obviously, a couple of jib sheets, I'm not sure how many lines I've got here, but it's over 12. We've got a backstay. We can adjust the backstay. We can let it right forward to go downwind. We can let the side stays off as well. Also to let the mast way forward when we go downwind. We've got a whisker pole that basically pulls the headsail out for sailing downwind as well. I try and keep my boat fairly simple. A lot of people have got a lot more adjustments than me, but I feel the less adjustments to make, the less things I can stuff up basically. We've got the out haul and a couple of compasses. Obviously we've got one compass for detecting the shifts on the race course and another one for pinging the start line, which is good in these boats because it's very hard to see each end of the starting line when it comes time to start the race. So yeah, it's pretty complicated in here, but after a while you get the hang of it and you get to really enjoy the technical aspect of sailing this boat. Lots of things to play with. It means lots of adjustments, and I think a lot of sailors really enjoy that side of sailing. So it's a great boat if you're a technical sailor.
Really nice video, eh, Julia?
Yeah. I was looking at all the lines. I don't know that I'd like to be in the cockpit with 12 lines.
Well, of course, we all are in other boats, but sometimes we do, as Paul Henderson says, we need more teamwork and less technology in our sport. It seems like we're letting technology, even in parasailing, overwhelm the boats. Ted Ryman saying, great little boats. Alistair Murray pointing out that that's Matthew Bugg, Australian sailing team. Yes, a terrific video by Matthew and World Sailing. Fritz Miller's, I sailed one a couple of times. Fun, wet, just complicated enough. Reading up, Bill Wingrove sailed a 2.4 meter, practicing with Jeff Linton. It takes a bit to coordinate when using your feet instead of hands. Mini meter boats, Ed Worley's commenting. Thanks, John Emmett. Indeed, we want to thank John for that report. As he does for us, our European correspondent, our ILCA correspondent, our coaching correspondent, and it's nice that he's back home with Lily,
yeah.
For a couple months before he's back on the road. Clark Chapin weighing in here. 12 lines, multiple compasses, keelboat, kind of the anti-laser. Indeed. Now, I made a challenge, as you heard on the show on Tuesday, to Alistair Murray, and he's as my nomination, passing on this because I was nominated by John Emmett nomination, I think is the right word, to express what are my two wishes, which I did on the show Tuesday, and then for me to further nominate a couple people, and I've nominated Alistair Murray and our good friend Clark Chapin, past commodore of our club in Michigan, Portage Yacht Club, and hopefully when they do their thing, if they haven't already, do send it to me, please, and we'll put it here in the show. In the meantime, I also challenged all of you, all of the FOSI, to do your own. Don't wait for somebody else to nominate you. Let's get this up, get it going. And to that end, I'm pleased to report that Andrew Pindar has taken up the challenge already, and he filed this report on his Facebook page, sent it to me earlier this week.
So 2 wishes in sailing for this year. Well, there's a personal one and there's an important one. And I think I can combine the 2 in one, in that the personal one is to learn how to foil. And to that end, I can go to Lake Garda next week, catch up with Luca Rizzotti, and attend Foiling Week, which is fully behind backing the bid to reinstate sailing in the Paralympics. And indeed, that's my second and the important one, is to see how we can get sailing back in the Paralympics. So I'd like to hand the baton of this question over to Luca himself, and to, let's think. Well, I think we'll go with John Quill Hackenberg, the chair of the Magenta Project.
Okay, well done, Andrew Pindar, who is now at Garda. He texted just before we went to air, Julie. You were here, I think, already down in the studio when I got his text. Thank you, Andrew, for that. And I hope we're going to hear, he's busy today. He's probably not going to make it on the show, he said. But I hope Andrew will make it next week. Either we'll tape a segment. Remember last year we had him live from Garda, Malchesine. He argues with how I pronounce that. Any of you Italians tell me if that's wrong, Italian speakers. But We had him on live from a pub one night, a pizzeria. It was a lot of fun.
I love Garda.
I miss Italy. I wish we were at Foiling Week.
Yes.
Parafoiling, now that would be
I have
amazing.
to talk to our boss.
Yes. Parafoiling, that would be amazing. Tom, I sent you my video. Oh, Alistair sent a video. I'm not sure I saw it, Alistair. I'll have to go back and look in my mail. Thank you. And we'll run Alistair's video on Friday. So thank you, Andrew Pindar. Thank you, Alistair Murray. And thank you, Marius Westerlind, who we have up now in our Road to the Governor's Cup segment 2022 coming up here. But first, this little intro from the Balboa Yacht Club. What we call the, it's a trailer really. It's the A bumper. We use it in the live telecast, which we'll be doing in a month's time down in Newport Beach at Balboa Yacht Club for the 2022 Governor's Cup, the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship, patterned after the Congressional Cup. We have done we've aired 4 of these Road to the Governor's Cup segments with 4 of the skippers, Jack Egan, Robbie King, Robbie McCutcheon, and Jordan Stevenson. And today we are doing Marius Westerlind, as you will have seen on our cover slides. And he is a real hoot. Really enjoyed getting to know him, as we have all these kids. And again, it gives you such great, well, you watch the interview and we'll say the same thing as we always do. It gives you such great confidence in the youth in our sport and indeed in the world when you hear kids like this. Let's listen. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Road to the 2022 Governor's Cup, recorded a couple days ago. International Youth Match Racing Championship held each year, hosted by Balboa Yacht Club down in Newport Beach, California. This is the 55th year, and as usual, we have GovCup guru Andy Rose with us, and today's interviewee, Marius Westerlind from Göteborg, Gothenburg, Sweden. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning, Tom, and good evening, Marius.
Yeah, good morning. I'm not used to you guys being in the morning while I'm like almost at bedtime.
I'm not either. So I haven't had my second cup of coffee yet. So. Well, it's nice to have you back. There used to be a show on American TV called This Is Your Life, where they'd surprise somebody and have, all sorts of people from their past. We'll do a very short version of This Is Your Sailing Life here. Tom has some slides, and we'll get you to talk about them a little bit.
Well, let's go to them. Marius, the first one is this purple boat in the upper left corner of this slide is, I'm reliably informed, as you doing your first or second ever sail at age 5 in August of 2007 in an Opti. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. That was quite a while ago. So I can't say I can't say I'm like explicitly remember what's happening in that scenario, but I know that's me. I can tell by the orange nice life jacket there and the purple boat. So
you continued in the Optimus for quite some time.
Yeah, so those two pictures, those are 10 years apart. So I did 10 years of Optimist. So that's quite a while.
I'm sorry you had to do that. Well, that picture is great, though. I describe, you can see my background picture, which is the Governor's Cup 22. And I told Marius it's about to get up on its foils. It looks like that Opti there is about to get up on its foils.
Yeah, well, I was quite light, so it wouldn't surprise me if I flew off in that boat. So
you were flying. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is already your, I guess, match race. Is that a J70?
Yeah, that's a J70. So I think there are multiple countries in Europe doing this, where we have a lot of different clubs in Sweden, like sailing yacht clubs, where you send like some representatives and you compete at 4 different events each year. And the winner gets to qualify for like the Champions League, and then you might do the Champions League, which is normally somewhere in the south of Europe. So that was one of those competitions that I did, which was one of my first keelboat racing experiences.
Who's this with? Who's this with you?
So who's this with? This is my first match racing competition in 2018, I believe. And it's somebody called Samuel from like to the left and Axel to the right, and those were my first crew, I guess, in the match racing, and we ended up winning that championship, the Swedish Nationals, and went on to sail the Junior Europeans the year after that, which was not quite the success, but we were there anyway. So that was those were some fun times.
Well, Marius, I think you told us last year, Marius is a returnee, a Governor's Cup sailor with a wealth of experience 1 year. At any rate, I think you told us that you had applied for the Swedish Youth Match Racing Championship, but initially you weren't accepted or whatever, and then got in, and I loved it last year. You said, well, yes, and then we got in, and then we won. That's pretty great. And now I believe you are a two-time Swedish Youth Match Racing champion. Is that not correct?
Well, since then, I think we've won 3 times, actually. Yeah, 3 times, actually, because we won last year as well. So that was after...
in the old days with the perpetual trophies, if somebody won a trophy 3 times, they retired the trophy. So are they going to retire the trophy for you?
Well, hopefully not, because I'm competing this year as well. So I hope to...
Very good.
Hope to get it one more time, yeah.
All right.
How about this photo?
Okay, so this was my first and only Youth Worlds in the 29er, and that was in Poland, I believe, in Gdynia. So we were sailing the 29er with, I was sailing with Ulle. He's the second guy to the right. Yeah, okay, you can maybe see him in the next picture as well. But he's coming this year crewing in, helping us crew at GovCup. So yeah, we'll see him in real life as well, and not only on the pictures.
Should we put trapezes on the Governor's Cup 22s for him?
Yeah, maybe, possibly. He'll be more comfortable then, maybe. I don't know if he'll enjoy the hiking very much.
I sailed on a Flying Dutchman for a while when I was younger, and actually, you know, the trap is pretty comfortable compared to some boats, hiking on some boats, I can tell you that.
Yeah, compared to the Laser or something like that.
Yeah.
How about wasp sailing at, this looks like Lake Garda?
Yeah, so that was actually, I went out trying the wasp thanks to a Maltese guy called Richard Schultheis, and I got to try it out, which was really fun. So I haven't done any competing in the wasp, but some sailing here and there, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, I was really thankful for getting that opportunity.
So this is a leading, what we call in the law, a leading question, Marius. So wasps are great and all the foiling is wonderful, but you still believe the America's Cup should be in 75 or 80-foot planing monohulls, right?
Yeah, it depends who's asking. If it's Andy asking, then of course I'll say yes and smile. But otherwise, I'm not too sure.
You know, I mentioned, you know, in the law. Well, you obviously have a talent for law, but maybe even better politics. Different answer for every group.
Yeah, maybe.
How about, you were very popular the last year at the Worlds. You sailed both the GovCup and the Worlds, which we also hosted at Balboa Yacht Club.
Yeah, GovCup was it was a great experience, but I can't say we really performed at the absolute highest level. So we're hoping to come back this year and perform better. We felt like during the World Championships, at the end of the regatta, we started getting more and more comfortable and getting more and more wins. So this year we're excited to get back and maybe start off at a higher level and not only achieve a top 10 performance at GovCup. Maybe have more than 10 boats this year though, so it might get tricky.
Yeah, we have 12, which is our normal number. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. I noticed last year that, well, certainly that's true. You got better and better as the, you know, regattas went on. But I thought your starting was actually quite good, almost from the beginning. Yeah. Do you have that same feeling, or?
Yeah, so I think starting is where we were most comfortable. We hadn't done a lot of match racing competitions with the spinnaker either. And I think during GovCup we were quite light, and that got better during Worlds. We were 4 people. So this year we're heavier, and I believe we'll know how to set up the boat correctly or more correctly from the start. And having great starts and being able to keep the speed up and not lose like as many meters as we did during the upwinds, I think will be great for us. And also all the spinnaker experience that we got last year from both those competitions. You know, at both GovCup and Youth Worlds, we managed to do a lot of races, and that brought a lot of experience with the spinnaker. So now I'm almost like converted to thinking a spinnaker is a lot more nicer than the gennaker, because you have more opportunities when you're behind to potentially pass. So it really it was a really great learning experience for us last year, and I'm hoping that will translate to something great this year.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be at all surprised. What Marius was referring to there for the audience, these boats have, you could say, I suppose, old-fashioned, but they have symmetrical spinnakers, meaning both luffs are the same size and they use a spinnaker pole. Most modern boats these days, including my 50-footer, have a bowsprit and an asymmetrical spinnaker, which forces you to go higher, faster, yes, but higher. Your jibing angles are much larger. But Dave Perry, who's our 5-time U.S. match racing champion, when we were about to build these boats, when we were finishing the design, I asked him, I knew what the answer was, but I said, symmetricals or asymmetricals? And he said, symmetricals. Don't build a boat with ASOs. And that really is just a match racing thing. As Marius said, there's a lot more opportunities to pass when the boats can sail and, more downwind. So that's good. And, the format here helps, I think. You had 22 round robin races in the Governor's Cup. No, not 22, because we only had 10 boats. But this year you'll have 22 round robin races before the semifinals. So, you probably have an advantage because a lot of the sailors this year haven't sailed these boats. The Australians and the New Zealanders are back, and the Brits, and none of them have really sailed these boats. So you and Jeffrey and a few others may have an advantage here.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So it'll be really fun coming back and seeing if we manage to crack the top 10 this year as well.
Well, I think you'll crack the top 10, but I think, as Australians and New Zealanders in particular have won a lot of GovCups since it went international. I think they've won 17 out of 30 something. So it'll be interesting. And I know Jeffrey Peterson, who of course won last year, and I know Jeffrey, for one, is looking forward to sailing against them, but not without a little bit of apprehension, because they've been stuck, down there now for 2 years, and they're back on the world scene. So this should be quite a Governor's Cup.
Yeah.
Have you haven't had, I assume, we have a lot of Australians have sort of emigrated, at least temporarily, to Sweden, I guess. So you may have sailed against some Australians in the last year or so.
Yeah, we have a lot of the sailors coming to Sweden with their Swedish girlfriends, like Sam Gilmore, I think, won GovCup some years ago, maybe.
Twice. Yeah, twice.
Yeah, twice, actually. Yeah, so him and his brother David, and some other Australians like Keith, with a lot of match racers. So
Keith Swinton, who also is one. So they come to take your women, eh?
Yeah, you got to put up a fight to.
Here we have, as you, I'm sure, have read, and it's a serious subject, but we have serious immigration problems. But it isn't the immigrants trying to take, U.S. women back. It's that they want to stay here. With you guys, it's the Australians coming in, and it's like sort of a reverse Viking thing, I think.
Okay, well, we're going to look forward to seeing you, Marius, in about 4 weeks, down the last week of July, down in Newport Beach. Andy, final question?
Do you have, Marius, are you sailing in the Worlds this year?
In the match racing Worlds?
Yeah, the youth.
Yeah, so we're going straight from there to
right.
The GovCup.
Yeah, Tom, I wanted to mention that just the youth match racing Worlds, which we hosted last year at Belfort Yacht Club, this year are in France, in northern France, and there are a number of teams. The New Zealand team, the Australian team, you and Jeffrey at least, are also sailing in the Governor's Cup, and the schedule is, shall we say, tight. I think you have one travel day, basically, Sunday the 24th to get here in time for Monday's check-in. The only good thing is Mondays just check-in and practice races. And for you experienced GovCup guys, you may just decide to go have a nap instead of practicing.
That or rehearse for your roasting on Monday night at the dinner, the opening dinner.
That's right, Marius. You have no idea what I have in store for you this time.
Okay. We'll look forward to that. We'll be televising live the entire GovCup from Monday night right through the finals on Saturday and the final press conference, prize giving Saturday night. Andy, anything else? Marius, anything else?
I think that's it. Marius, you were one of the most, you got, in American beauty pageants, they have something called Miss Congeniality, who doesn't win the contest, but all the other girls liked her. Well, I think you probably got the Miss Congeniality Award for the Governor's Cup last year. So we are all, including a lot of the members that got to meet you, everybody's looking forward to having you back.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to coming back and meeting you all. It was a great experience last year, especially staying for both GovCup and Youth World. So we're really looking forward to coming back there and seeing if we not only can perform on stage, but maybe on the water as well. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Great, guys. Many thanks. We'll see you in a month.
Yeah.
You gotta love the kid.
Oh, absolutely.
And they all start to come out of their shell a little bit with this experience. And when Andy roasts them and the whole crew on Monday night, it's just great fun. Well done, Marius. You're going to be a star again, no doubt, on and off the water. We've now done 5 of these gentlemen. This weekend, I think we're taping 1, 2, maybe 3 more, and I'm hoping next week we're going to have live one of the sailors from this time zone.
Oh, good. Live
on the show with Andy, so we'll see. As you know, the Rose Cup winner usually gets an invite, but since the Rose Cup winner was Morgan Pinckney from Newport Harbor Yacht Club, he's already been invited based on his strength as a match racer, as a sailor, in his performance last year's. So Ansgar Jordan from Coronado Yacht Club down in San Diego has been invited in that Rose Cup winner slot. And we'll see if we can't get some of these West Coast kids interviewed, get their interviews in the can, or maybe live on the show in the next week or so. That's all going to happen at Balboa Yacht Club in really just 3 weeks' time. It's the last full week of July the 25th through the 30th, the 55th Governor's Cup at Balboa Yacht Club, and we'll be televising that live from Monday. I think we have 10 different live telecasts down there through the week. Marius, what a hoot.
Yes.
Okay, this day in history, Julia, on the 1st of July, do you know what happened? In 1850.
1850. Well, that was a big California year.
1850. It was a big well done. You people that went to Stanford are so damn smart. So what happened in 1850? Here's your first clue.
Gold Rush.
Gold Rush, but what in specific? Where is that?
San Francisco.
It is. And according to the Guardian newspaper and several other sources,
the abandoned ships.
The abandoned ships in San Francisco Bay reached their peak on this date, or this month anyway, but give or take July 1st, 1850. This photo from the past, and there were some, I don't know, more than 500, more than 600 perhaps boats there. Why? Well, we have the answer.
In 1994, construction workers in San Francisco's financial district began digging to build a new light rail tunnel beneath the city when they hit something. It was a massive ship named the Rome. The ship was so large that the crew had to tunnel through the ship's hull to construct the tunnel. Now, the J, K, L, M, N, and T trains all ride through the hull of this ship every day. But why was there a ship buried beneath the city, and how did it get there? To understand that, we have to travel back in time nearly 200 years. When the gold rush began in 1848, Thousands of people sailed into California hoping to strike it rich. The ships they sailed there on were often just enough to get the crew there, and many would never sail again. A large portion of the ships that landed in San Francisco Bay were simply left to rot as the crews they brought got caught up in gold fever. At the height of the gold rush, there were 500 to 1,000 ships moored in the harbor, clogging up traffic and making the waters almost unnavigable. The city needed land, and since most of the land had already been built on, politicians devised a brilliant solution: start building on the water. The city started selling plots of bay water on the condition that the new owner would turn it into new land. So, ships were intentionally run aground and built into hotels and bars. They became part of the city. One of the most famous examples is that of a ship named the Niantic. This ship was run aground in 1849 and used as a warehouse and a hotel. Nicer ships in the harbor were turned into permanent structures and became as much part of San Francisco as buildings built on the original land. All that was fine until a massive fire broke out in 1851. The fire gutted nearly the entire city and most of the ships sank into the bay. When the fire was finally put out days later, much of the wreckage was covered with earth from nearby hills to start the rebuilding process of the city. This resulted in many still intact ships, like the Rome, ending up buried beneath the now ground of San Francisco's financial district. In total, it's now estimated that there are 40 to 70 ships buried beneath San Francisco. Recent research actually revealed the near exact location for many of the ships. Some are clustered together, while others rest alone underneath the city. So, much of San Francisco used to be ships run aground, but after a fire in 1851, those old ships now form the foundation to one of the most expensive real estate markets in the entire world.
Now, did you know all of that? Some of that? Most of it?
Most of it. I didn't know about the tunneling through the ship.
With the underground, with the trains.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. Yeah, they could be a few floors below Studio B. No, we're really out of that area, although this is also on Phil, but that Phil leading, it was a little bit later in the early part of the last century. What a really weird story, fascinating, Gordon Smith. I didn't know much of that, Julia, I have to admit.
Yeah.
But Ed Worley knew it because the abandoned ships were used for landfill, and they were being charitable, of course, saying that those ships were bars and hotels. They were body houses.
Well, they did a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. In any event, Julia, on this day...
But some of them, there's a couple that are still there.
Well, yeah, there's one.
Niantic.
Niantic, but there's one bar down there that dates from almost that period that supposedly has part of that, one of those old ships, and I can't remember the name of it. But on this day, they say, give or take July 1st, there were at least 626 ships lying at anchor or aground around San Francisco Bay. And a year later, of course, was the America's Cup and that huge fire. So it's hard to imagine that was just a year before the America's Cup got underway in 1851, when Queen Victoria visited the yacht after they won that famous race around the Isle of Wight.
I'd never connected those 2 dates. How's that?
Well, we've never done a story about San Francisco that I can remember on the show. We talk about it because, of course, we're here, but I don't remember ever doing a story. I think that's J. Frederick Bland saying, no wonder the old buildings smell like fish. Mark Curtis. Hi, Mark. Now, there's a question. Finding the bar that Tom couldn't remember the name of that contains parts of a ship. Yeah, I've had one or two drinks in that. It's in the Financial District. And it dates from, I think, 1850. They say it dates from 1851, 52. And it's still there and still functioning. It has been functioning on and off. Now, for extra credit, do you know what the oldest tavern in the country is?
Tavern?
Tavern. Also was once a bawdy house and a restaurant and a bar. And
it's got to be in the East Coast.
It's in Newport, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And it's called the White Horse Tavern.
Oh, yes.
And that
I did know that.
That dates from like 1680 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's a digression. But White Horse Tavern, Newport, Rhode Island, famously good watering hole and popular.
Been there.
You have. I have many nights. Famously a good place with the sailing crowd.
Yes, indeed.
Julie Ahrens, I would love to see another Swedish team in the AC. Yes, we all would, Julie, and that's a good point. What other points were there above Swedish, yeah, paedophiling sailors, Swedish men come to Australia for our women, and we run an exchange program.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Stuff. Okay. I love these interviews with these kids. Thanks again to Andy Rose for helping tee them up, and we'll do some more. We got 5 down, 7 to go in the next 3 weeks, so we'll be pushing hard.
They're all good.
Bravo Zulu time, and I have actually, I think, 3. We have a White Horse Tavern in Stockton, New York. I'm pretty sure that's not famous. Well, the one in Newport is. Many of you, I'm sure, have eaten or at least had a drink there. I checked in with the Star Sailors League, the SSL Gold Cup, which is going on again. They've got another one of these qualifiers. They're saying in their press material, sailing has its own World Cup, finally. Like football in 1930 and rugby in 1987, the SSL Gold Cup is designed to crown the best sailing nation of all. The world's top 56 sailing countries selected on their SSL Nation ranking will battle their way through to raise the coveted and only Sailing World Cup trophy. Well, okay, but I like the idea, and I think it's proceeding well. The SSL Gold Cup 2022 started on May 19th. As you know, we've been covering it with the qualifying series that's ongoing in Grandson and Lake Neuchâtel in Switzerland. All teams ranked from the top 25 to 56 in the SSL Nations ranking, based on the January rankings, will meet in 8 groups of 4 teams each. There'll be 5 stages or rounds until July 17th. So we're down the road now a bit on that process. Only the top 2 teams of each group of 4 will go through to the final series that will take place from the 28th of October to the 20th of November in, as we told you a few weeks ago, in Bahrain. They announced that. Now, here are the standings. You can't really see that very well, but if I go look here on camera 4, you can see Antigua and Tahiti, Estonia, Ireland. These are the teams that have come out of these round 1, 2, 3 qualifiers. Slovenia, Lithuania, Portugal, Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, Peru, and Chile. And now they're in the QS round 4 as we speak. And that is Cuba, as JFK would have said, Cuba, Guatemala, Mexico, and Oman. And then we have China, India, Malaysia, and South Africa coming up next week after next. And then finally Korea, Singapore, Thailand, and Ukraine in the final group, July 14 to 17. Now, the standings, they've had 2 days of racing there in this latest group. And the headline yesterday was that the Jaguars pounce on day 1. Who are the Jaguars? Well, that's what the Guatemalan team calls themselves. Each of these teams has a mascot and a name. And look, I mean, this is cool. Guatemala has a sailing team in the SSL Gold Cup, as is Oman and Cuba and Mexico. And that was a big performance by Guatemala on day 1. Well, today, Mexico and Cuba are on the attack after day 2. And there are the standings. Beautiful pictures. That's the Mexican team, I believe. Yeah. And they've caught up, as has Cuba, just behind Guatemala as they go into tomorrow's final day of racing. Oman got penalized for a late registration, and they're looking like they're probably out of the hunt. That will be covered live tomorrow, Saturday, and it's 1:30 here in the morning, Pacific Daylight Time, 08:30 UTC, 10:30 CET, Central European Time, tomorrow, Saturday, if you want to watch it live on their YouTube page, YouTube channel. They also did a little historical, cultural thing with the cruise at a local castle, and it's just a quick video, and I thought this would be fun. Roll tape.
Welcome to the castle of Grandson, a 14th century medieval fortress which overlooks the lake of Neuchâtel. That's here, some 500 years ago, where Charles the Bold, Duke of Burgundy, lost his first battle against the Swiss Confederate. This event changes the face of European history. Currently, until the year 2026, the castle is under heritage renovation. Still, the castle remains open and you can come here to visit and discover more about daily life and the history of Switzerland. Throughout the year, the castle organizes a lot of activities like animation, visits and workshops. If you want to discover daily life in Middle Ages or just discover the region, you can come here in the Castle of Grandson. We are really happy and thrilled to welcome SSL GovCup athlete in the Castle of Grandson, and we wish good luck to all of them. 500 years ago happened here a battle that changed the face of Europe. Now and here, athletes from all over the world are fighting to win an international championship. And if you come to the Castle of Grandson, you will be able to see from the walls all the battle on the lake between these world-class athletes.
That was nice.
Isn't that nice?
Mm.
That's our cultural segment for today. But, and again, that's, if President Biden is watching, that's in Switzerland, not in Sweden. Julie, I couldn't help myself. Bunch of cool comments. Ed Worley saying, yes, this SSL series is good for our sport and team building. Couldn't agree more. Bravo, Zulu, to them. How many of the sailors have a background in the Olympics? Probably quite a few. Most of these countries probably have some Olympians. What a gorgeous castle. Stingray up in Seattle is saying. Clark Chapin says, I'm dating myself by saying roll tape. Well, a lot of television people still say roll tape, and I'm from that era. When I first got involved in TV back in 1971 in a studio, yeah, you did. You said roll tape if you were the director. And of course, you had to let it roll for 3 seconds before it got up to speed before you could take to it. Now it's all digital, and we can push a button and go immediately. Everything goes. And somebody pointed out, Tom Fishbeck, I think, pointed out that it is called the Old Ship Saloon.
Uh-huh. I just looked it up, and I've never been there.
Oh, it's right. It was right around the corner from when we had our office, the America's Cup office originally, before we moved to the waterfront for the 2013 Cup for the America's Cup Event Authority, was just around the corner. So not often, but once or twice we went there after work for and they've got a big sign that says 1851, as Tom Fishbeck is saying. Maybe we'll go originate a show from there sometime if they have a good internet connection.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Clark Chapin is saying, boo, high point scoring. Yeah, I wish they wouldn't use high point scoring. Alistair Murray saying, I love the gold hulls. I do too, Alistair. Those are, you see that the sail on the designation on the sail? SSL 47s. These are RC 44s, Russell's boats, that are now 3 feet longer, and they're SSL 47s, or so they are calling them. Nice video. Now, if they can get the commentary out. Bill was not happy with the commentary on the first couple of days of. They've been covering the racing live.
Yes.
And he's, they're doing it in English. English is their ESL or ETL even, and they speak English as well as most of us, but it's not as flowing and as facile. And I don't know how much sailing. There's one sailor there and maybe one professional commentator who's not much of a sailor, as Ed Worley has pointed out. So I hope they get that fixed. I'll watch a replay. I'm not going to get up at 1:30 and watch that. Are you, Julia?
Well, it depends.
Maybe but you're such a night owl. You probably haven't even gone to bed yet.
Well, I know. I go to,
you go to bed about 1:30.
I do.
I hear you going across the floor above us.
Yeah.
Up there. Welcome again to show 533. Delighted to have had Marius on, and another Bravo Zulu for what's going on in Europe, and specifically in Finland. Here's your first clue, Julia. What is going on in Finland as we speak on the 70th anniversary of the 1952 Olympics, the 15th Olympiad in Helsinki? And indeed, this regatta is going on in Helsinki. Here is your second clue. There's a postage stamp commemorating the 52 Olympics on the left from the stadium. And on the right, you recognize those boats? John Emmett saying Finland joining NATO. I don't think so, John.
Yeah.
So what are those boats on the right? The wife carrying championships, Gordon Smith asking. Gold and beige are the colors really old people choose for their cars. Okay, here it is. What's going on as we speak? Just getting underway. This is a postage stamp on the left depicting the Helsinki 1952 Olympic Stadium. So in 2022, our sport, is celebrating the 70th anniversary of the Finn class.
Aha.
That's what that is on the right, some of the original Finns, and when they were in wood. And coming forward to a lot of Finnish Finns in Helsinki, as you probably all know, or most of you will know, the Finn dinghy made its first international appearance at the Helsinki Olympics in July 1952, 70 years ago.
Didn't know that.
This year.
Yeah.
Now, you think the Finn was designed by a Finn?
It wasn't.
Rickard Sarby of Uppsala in Sweden, speaking of Sweden, had won the design contest for an Olympic single-handed dinghy, and with some encouragement from the Finns, the original name Fint, now you Scandinavians have to tell us what that means, Fint, F-I-N-T, was converted to the Finn, that is, of course, now very familiar. L, Clark Chapin, is asked, well, what's the L? I'm going to go back a slide here. Why is there an L? Whoops, I'm going the wrong direction. Let me back up. Why is there an L on the sail? Well, that's a really good question. I wonder if anybody can get that. I know the answer, but I will just see if anyone quickly, John Emmett will know that. He will know that, perhaps others. Why is there an L in the 52? I'll tell you why, Clark. It's the same reason that in those days the sails from the U.S. didn't have USA. They had U.S. on them. And Great Britain's sails didn't have GBR. They had K for Kingdom.
Yeah.
Canada had KA. New Zealand had KZ or KZ. Australia had KA. And John Emmett is correctly pointing out that Finland's country code, Larry Hinsky, no, Finland, for whatever reason, was L. And remember, there were country codes that were international, still are in the Europe they don't use always the Olympic codes. I mean, for example, Spain is what? E for España. France is F, and that was the sail code on the sails. And why Finland? There was probably an F for France. There was probably an I for India. There was probably an N for Norway.
Yeah.
And the next letter they got to was L, so they got L on their sail. I'm just guessing. I don't know for sure. But that's the answer to that.
Latvia.
Well, that was probably before Latvia had a national authority. But today, as we said, the Finn class is celebrating their 70th year. And they have their World Masters Championship starting, and they had measurement today. 124 competitors from 24 countries will sail off of Helsinki from the 4th to the 8th of July. They get some warm-up racing and a pre-regatta. Finn Masters for the World Championship in the 70th anniversary regatta of the Helsinki Olympics. A large number of former top Olympic sailors from the world over are coming to the Helsinki Jubilee Regatta. It's a Masters race, so the age requirement is at least age 40. There is no upper age limit. There are also a few super legends sailing who are over 80 years old. Julie, you could be sailing
I know, there's hope for us all.
in the Finn super legends.
Yeah. Yes.
Helsinki Race Management is very proud to have been entrusted with the task of hosting. We like to recognize clubs and these volunteer groups hosting the Finn Masters World Championships in Helsinki in this very special year. And we will do our very best to make the event a truly memorable occasion. To ensure the success coming up, we have the resources of 7 member clubs. The base of the venue will be the Helsingfors Segelklubb, HSK, well reputed for hosting many international regattas over the years, including the Finn Europeans in 1980. So bravo, Zulu, to everybody involved in this regatta. Julia.
The Gordon Smith says Fint means fine in English.
Cool.
And another Facebook user says L is Luxembourg.
L is Luxembourg. Well, okay.
And Worley says Lapland.
Lapland. Now, I think, Jody Shields, you see what he's saying? The reason L is on the sale for Finland is because petrol is expensive. Oh, my goodness. Now, I think I'm not 100%, but I think that's probably what it was. Is that you went through the letters of your country until you got to one that had not already been used, and Luxembourg probably didn't have a national authority in those days, and who knows? And we'll find that out, though. Somebody may find it out before we get to the end of this show. Now, what else is going on? Well, Bravo Zulu to you recognize that class, Julia? One of our FOSI on Tuesday asked that we give some coverage to the 5.5 meter worlds underway in Hunko in Norway. Fabulous sailing venue. And they have had a Scandinavian or Norwegian something championship in the last couple days, and they're getting underway now and goes through, I think, Tuesday. They have fully 23 boats from 10 nations in this beautiful traditional class, development class, and they used to be in the Olympics as well. So Bravo Zulu to the 5.5 class, and we will cover some more of that on Tuesday next as well. Now, this one more Bravo Zulu, and this, of course, where Andrew Pindar is and many others of our FOSI. Foiling Week is just getting underway at Lake Garda in Malchazine, and Foiling Week started with a film festival, the first edition of a foiling film festival that took place in, the Palazzo di Capitani. Is that how you say that?
Sure.
Di Capitani, and it was a very cool event. And we have a trailer now. There's an award winner, which is an Aussie film. I'm not going to go into the awards. We'll talk about that in due course. But this is kind of a mashup of the films, apparently, that were entered. It's only a couple minutes long, but really a cool video. Roll tape.
Ce l'abbiamo fatta, ragazzi, ce l'abbiamo fatta, e vi regalo questo panorama perché voglio dividere tutto con voi in questo viaggio.
I think that was at the end there. That was from the runner-up film, obviously from the Imoca '60s. And as Stingray is saying, dang, this is one beautiful video. Gordon Smith, thank you, has put the link to. I think go to Foiling Week. Go to Foiling Week's YouTube channel because they've got the whole film festival from a couple days ago.
Here.
There's the link. You can click on it, but it's long. It's an hour and a half, right, Gordon? Maybe longer. And yeah, Gordon's saying the festival is available in full length on YouTube. Excellent watching. Speaking of foiling, John Emmett is saying that Lily, he's pretty sure she's going to get a wasp. Remember in her challenge when we did that challenge back and forth, John nominated or Lily nominated John, and one of her wishes was that she learned to foil this year on a wasp.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of mine. That wasn't one of my
You're not going to
wishes.
do that?
I wished for the continued growth and thriving of youth match racing worldwide, because I think it's so good for kids and for the sport and for clubs and so on. Anyway, I commend this to you. That was just a teaser. That was a mashup of the various films, including the Aussie film. The guy, I think, wing foiled across the Tasman, or tried to. I don't know if he made it or not. I didn't have time to look into all those videos. Maybe we'll do that later, maybe over the weekend, or look at one of the shows next week sometime. Correction, this link is to an hour and a half. Yeah, okay. I took the 2 minutes and change version, and Gordon Smith's got the link to the full hour, and that's the full hour and a half. Okay. And then they've got another showing of films on the 3rd of July, which Gordon's referring to there in the comments. Thanks, Gordon Smith. And we do appreciate that. A lot of people on here who are new names, and we want to welcome all of you. We see if you comment, and if you're friends of ours, you pop up, but there are a lot of people who are on here, Julie, I'm noticing on my phone. Roy Goodison, for example. I don't know Roy Goodison. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Roy. At least I don't think I do. Carol McAllister, Tom Grogan. Lots of new names on here. Welcome again. Oh, Jan Chance O'Malley. Jan O'Malley's watching. Terrific. Good to see you on, Jan. Okay, so that's Bravo Zulu for Foiling Week, but which is just really getting underway. But wait, there's more. Today, they announced a new Foiling Youth World Series. And this was the headline on their press release, just before we went to air, a new event created by Foiling Week dedicated to young, talented sailors, providing the foiling pathway to become professionals and access elite sailing in collaboration with the best teams and yacht clubs.
Aha.
FYWS, Foiling Youth World Series, will be a team competition of foiling boats and will be dedicated to young sailors with the aim of training future professionals. The sailors will, what about amateurs? What about just recreational sailors? Mm-hmm. The sailors will be part of teams representing the most influential sailing clubs competing for a world title. In 2023, the series will begin with 4 to 5 events, 2023, which will take place in stunning locations around the globe.
Should we name them?
Well, they did name off a list, but they haven't chosen them. They're just announced this today, and they're teeing this up. Now, one hears.
Yes.
One of you on here has told me this, and I've heard it from others, that the America's Cup teams, are complaining about the cost of trying to run a Youth America's Cup and a Women's America's Cup. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, on the announcement today, when they announced this, there was a press conference, long press conference, that one of our FOSI was hosting, actually, and not Andrew. And the Commodore of the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron was there as part of this Foiling Youth World Series announcement. Mm-hmm. And they're supporting it. That is the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, which leads me to believe that maybe this is going to step in for what had been the Youth America's Cup, because of the cost and the complexity of trying to get all of that off the ground in due course. I don't know. Terry Hutchinson did an interview this week, one of the videos for Foiling Week on Lake Garda, where he also praised the WASP. Yes, I saw that interview. Did you ever think that we would be pushing our kids into foils, Jody is saying. And there's a TP52 Worlds recap. Yeah, I saw that. Thanks, Bill. And I didn't run that because we did a pretty good recap of that the other day. But regardless, Bravo Zulu to Foiling Week. This announcement, I think, is cool. They're going to decide what boats they're going to use, but it looks like WASPs will be among them. Maybe the, what is it called, the F-69? That's the Garda bigger boat that's kind of a mini America's Cup boat. Who knows? We'll see what happens. And I think China's going to be involved in this in some serious capacity as well, and I think World Sailing's backing it.
Good.
So we'll hear more from Luca Rizzotti and maybe from Andrew Pindar if and when we get them on the show next week or beyond. So that gets us to the D block, Julie, after those 3 Bravo Zulus, and I've got a couple funnies here.
Yes.
And they're not finger waggers. They're clean for a change. Good. All of them. Both of them. There's only, I think, 2. And this came from our good friend, you know who said this? You know you're old when you're entering your birth year online and have to spin that wheel, that bitch, like you're on Wheel of Fortune.
I feel that.
Oh, it is so true. I got my TSA pre-check thing,
Yeah.
and I get online, and you got to find your birthday.
Yeah.
Man, that's a long way back.
I know. I go through the living history of, oh my God, I remember what happened in 1946, and
Well, we're talking here about what happened in 1953 and 1850. And my goodness. Okay, thanks, John Sangmeister, for that. Now, for those of you who are not Americans, and particularly followers, to those of you who are and don't follow college football, you may have missed the announcement yesterday that two of the schools that compete in your conference in the big, what would you call it, the Pac-12?
Pac-12.
And what were those schools?
UCLA and USC.
Southern California schools, the University of Southern Cal and the University of California of LA are showing up to the Big Ten. And this was this was a meme somebody sent me this morning. They knowing, of course, that I went to the University of Michigan, am from the Big Ten, proud of the Big Ten. And this is how SoCal and UCLA are going to show up when they compete in the Big Ten football, college football. Not this fall. I think not next fall. I think it's 2024, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's okay.
If
And
they
that
make it.
also thanks to John Sangmeister, who forwarded that.
Who's from USC, we won't say.
Jody Shields, in 8 years' time, the 80s will be 50 years old. Which 80s? Oh, the 1980s. Yeah, that's a scary thing. The birth date is getting way down the line these days, Wingrove is saying. Great initiative, Gordon Smith. Yeah, okay, well, thanks for all that. And that gets us to the finish line. And I have a little video, a little special here for especially the Americans. We can't go into the 4th of July, the Independence Day weekend, without a little bit of a tribute to the U.S. And, of course, that means fireworks across the USA, including Portland, Oregon. This is from, I don't know, last year or the year before. Dallas, Texas. The Brooklyn Bridge in New York. Fritz Mueller down your way. Mueller down in Miami, LA. Of course, the big one in D.C. in the mall. Pittsburgh. Coney Island. Chicago. And on the Brooklyn Bridge. Again in Pittsburgh. Up in Seattle from the tower there, Stingray. Thank you for that video. And if we're lucky here, Julia, here in San Francisco, if there's no fog.
Which almost never happens.
Well, it looks clear. I did look at the forecast, but that's the fireworks are over by the Bay Bridge. That's the Bay Bridge in the background. Of course, this is a shot from looking over the Golden Gate Bridge to the east or kind of southeast. And Clark Chapin is saying, yes, we even have fireworks at our home club in Michigan at Portage Lake, which are on again this year, I think on Saturday night. Fritz Mueller said, I once flew a night flight from LaGuardia to Miami on the 4th. Skies were lit all along the coast. Bill Wingrove, if you anchor out in the middle of Tampa Bay, you'll get, 6 or 8 fireworks. Indeed. Is the U.S. Celebrating Brexit? Got Fox Day now? No, today is Canada Day. Yep, Fritz, we celebrated that at the top of the show. Clark Chapin wondering if the Pac-12, Julie, if your conference is going to be Stanford and the Seven Dwarfs. That's brutal.
Oh, and it's not really fair either, but it's too bad that UCLA and USC are.
Well, the Big Ten now is going to be, what is it, the Big 18 by now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Nebraska and it's Maryland and
Rutgers. They're sacrificing themselves for $100 million of
$1 billion. The television contract 2024 is going to be apparently
per school.
Oh well, yeah,
is $100 million, and that helps their sports program.
Well, especially and all the non-revenue sports too.
Yeah.
And the women's programs that don't necessarily earn revenue, and sailing and some others.
Yeah.
So Not that sailing gets much of a cut of that. So if you are here in the States and if you're celebrating the Independence Day weekend, happy 4th of July, and have a safe and happy one indeed. Julia, your witness.
Oh, I hope your weekend sparkles with sparklers. And while you're thinking about it, share it right now.
Like, follow, and share. And of course, we leave comments open, even in replay, for those of you who maybe are new here. A lot of new folks on here today, it looks like. Support us on Patreon. Please give us a few bucks once in a while or per month. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. This is viewer-supported media, largely. Julia, last thoughts, final word.
I wish everybody a happy weekend.
Well, that's nice and pithy and quick. Where's your red, white, and blue? I guess you got some red, white, and blue in your
I was
scarf.
saving it for the 4th.
Okay. John Emmett, we'll see you next week, and I'll try to get some new video. Yes, and thanks to all of you, T.R. DeYoung. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this show number 533. We hope you have, wherever in the world you are, a great and safe weekend with the ones you love. You can get to do some sailing, and if you can, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.